first official trailer for the movie Wonka was just released, and I see a lot of people online very excited for it, so I wanted to come on here and be a hater. I've seen the trailer already, but I'm going to rewatch it and step by step say why I hate it. A couple things that are important to note before I start. One, I'm a very big fan of the original 70s movie and of Gene Wilder. I will be mentioning that movie and Gene Wilder's original portrayal of Willy Wonka a lot. I will be comparing them a lot, as well as comparing it to Johnny Depp's portrayal. Another thing to note is that my opinion on this trailer and this movie and this portrayal of the character is not at all based on the book. I have not read it. I don't intend to. So if anyone's rushing to their keyboards to tell me that Roald Dahl didn't like Gene Wilder's portrayal of Willy Wonka, I will tell you right now, I do not care. Roald Dahl was hugely anti-Semitic, and Gene Wilder was Jewish. So him saying that he didn't like his portrayal means absolutely nothing to me, because I believe it comes from a place of bigoted hatred. I do not care what that man thinks, and I want to say that right off the bat. I also want to say that I don't dislike Timothée Chalamet. I think he was great in Dune, in Bones and All. I love that movie. I thought he was fantastic in that. I like Timothée Chalamet. I'm not trying to hate on a new actor that's very popular. I just think he was terribly miscast. Let's start.
I've spent the past 7 years traveling the world perfecting my craft.
Immediately. I've spent the last years traveling the world and perfecting my craft. Show us that. Honestly, that sounds like a more interesting movie. Willy Wonka traveling the world and discovering new ways to make chocolate. How is that not a more interesting concept than him building a factory and having competitors and people trying to shut down his business? That concept was also tested in Tim Burton's movie, and it was okay. I think what he did with it was fine, but to make an entire movie about that just doesn't sound very necessary.
You see, I'm something of a magician, inventor, and chocolate maker. So quiet up and listen down. Nope, scratch that, reverse it.
I'm not entirely sure if this is supposed to be a prequel to the original 70s movie, if this is supposed to be a prequel to Tim Burton's movie, or if this is just supposed to be a prequel to the book character. I'm assuming it is somewhat supposed to be a prequel on Gene Wilder's Willy Wonka because of the costumes being similar, and it's also a musical. Which, if that's true, again, Timothée Chalamet is not playing the same character Gene Wilder was. I'm not trying to say that Timothée Chalamet has to copy what Gene Wilder did, but his interpretation of the character, I think, is missing the point of what made Willy Wonka such an interesting character in the original 70s movie, and in some ways in the Tim Burton remake. Of course, when you think to yourself, what would you have to act like to be Willy Wonka? You would, of course, the childlike wonder, the whimsical nature, right? Being kind of silly, I don't know, quirky and whatever, right? That's Johnny Depp's Willy Wonka was, and Gene Wilder's was certainly that as well. But 3 different quirky, 3 different ways of interpreting quirkiness. And I think this one really does not fit. Because for me, you first hear his voice as Willy Wonka, and already there's something off-putting. There's something that doesn't fit with the character that this is supposed to be. It's also, very much more clear in that scene. The whole scratch that and reverse it. That was a thing Gene Wilder's Willy Wonka did.
We have to get on, we have so much time and so little to do. Strike that, reverse it.
He did it way better. Something really important to the Willy Wonka character that Gene Wilder did really well was being unpredictable. You never knew what to expect of him. You never knew if he was being genuine or if he was lying. Gene Wilder only agreed to do the movie if he was allowed to do the scene where Willy Wonka is, where we first meet him, where he's first introduced, and he's initially limping, and then his cane gets stuck in the pavement, and he does a somersault, and he jumps up, and it's revealed that he doesn't actually have a limp, and he was fine, right? Gene Wilder specifically requested to do that because, and this is more or less a quote in his words, from that point on, you never know if he's lying or telling the truth.
Then Willy Wonka's cane gets stuck in a brick, and he starts to fall forward, and he does a forward somersault and jumps up, and the crowd cheers and applauds. And the director said, "What do you want to do that for?" And I said, "Because from that time on, no one will know whether I'm lying or telling the truth."
Brilliant.
And he said, "You mean if I say no, you won't do the picture?" I said, "I'm afraid that's the truth."
When I watch Timothée Chalamet as Willy Wonka, I know what to expect from him. There's nothing, I don't feel like I'm going to be surprised by him at any point.
Mr. Wonka, I can see you're a man of great ingenuity.
What are you doing?
I'm making chocolate, of course. How do you like it? Dark, white, nutty, absolutely insane.
The vibe is off. The silly and quirky energy that he's going for is not giving Willy Wonka. It's giving, on the early days of TikTok, those cosplayers. That's what this energy is. Not Willy Wonka.
People have come here to sell chocolate.
You know what? If I had to say one positive thing about this trailer, it would be that spin on the pole, on the light post. That was amazing.
They've all been crushed by the chocolate cartel. You can't get a shop without selling chocolate.
I didn't notice this before. The woman in the factory, I don't know if that's what's going to happen, but if Willy Wonka is given a love interest,
And you can't sell chocolate without a shop.
No daydreaming.
I really hate this kind of stuff. So a lot of like kids movies that I see nowadays, there's a specific genre, they're always British, where every kids movie has to be about how people want to stop fun. Like I'm not crazy, right? Why I feel like there's just a ton of British kids movies where the main premise is main character loves fun thing and big bad adults around them hate fun thing, but not in just the sense as like you can't do that. It's like literally it's illegal, and I'm tired of it.
What are we gonna do, Willy?
Huh.
Huh?
Huh.
A double huh.
Do you have a pencil and paper?
Uh-huh.
I got an idea. I know things haven't been easy for you. They're gonna get better.
I'm gonna mention the book again. I feel like I honestly don't know if this is trying to be accurate to the book. So I don't know if this style of comedy, if the way they're talking, if that's a Roald Dahl thing or what, but I think since it's Willy Wonka, people already have expectations. People already know, have a general idea of what this character should be acting like. Especially in a cinematic sense, and in a sense of a movie portrayal, people have two interpretations that they have in mind when watching this. And of course, it's probably the smartest decision to try to be different from both of those portrayals. I'm not saying Timothée Chalamet should have copied Gene Wilder or Johnny Depp, but I just think the elements that are crucial to Willy Wonka being an interesting character, I think he lacks them here.
They're gonna get better.
You promise?
I pinky promise. That's the most solemn vow there is.
Where do we start?
A good chocolate is simple.
Where's this? It's just weird.
What's happening? Oh, what's a chocolate that makes it fly?
Let's find out, shall we? Who's for a Hummer Chop?
Nothing to see here. Just a small group of people defying the laws of gravity.
Ladies and gentlemen of the Gallery Gourmet, my name is Willy Wonka.
This is a thing I do with movie characters that are portrayed by multiple people. For example, when I watch a James Bond movie and a new actor is playing the character for the first time, when the character first introduces himself, when he first says the name's Bond, James Bond, I think to myself, do I believe him? And I do a similar thing here. When I hear Timothée Chalamet say, my name is Willy Wonka, I think to myself, do I believe you? And I don't. Because even though Gene Wilder and Johnny Depp's portrayal of the character were very different, and I clearly have a preference, I think they both, did a good job portraying the essence of what Willy Wonka should be. He should have this air of mystery. He should have an air of, you don't know what he's gonna do next. Gene Wilder certainly had that. Johnny Depp certainly had that in a very different way. But it had that, especially with Gene Wilder's Willy Wonka. You watch him talk and you watch the way he moves, and you're just, for me personally, I guess I shouldn't speak for other people, but I'm just so filled with joy immediately. He has this aura of wonder and joy, and you look into his eyes and you see so much, and you could just see the world behind those eyes. You see that he really finds joy in what he's doing, and that he is the happiest man on earth when you look into his eyes. But you also get the feeling that there's still something about him that you don't know, and there's something about him you're not sure how to explain it. That's what I think is the essence of the Willy Wonka character, and I think Timothée Chalamet completely missed the mark.
Too good. Pretty sure I've gained about 150 pounds in the last 2 weeks.
You could change her life, Mr. Wonka. Change all their lives.
Run away!
Every good thing in this world starts.
I don't know why there's a giraffe. We have lost the plot.
So you hold on to yours.
Here we go, Mama.
Here we go, Mama. Oh, Willy Wonka has mommy issues now? Why? Tell me why.
Mark my words, this is gonna be the greatest
I'm pretty sure this is a musical, right? It's a musical, right? Because the trailer is showing a couple people dancing, but there's no implication that it's going to be a musical. And I don't know if I'm terrified for that or expecting it to be, like the only okay thing about the movie. Look, I love a musical. I love musical theater. I love the stage. I am not a musical hater. But I'm not sure about this. Because it's not in the trailer, I can't really say whether it looks good or bad.
the world has ever seen.
Also, what was it? Discover how Willy became Wonka? Are you serious with me right now? Discover how Willy became Wonka? That's what you're going with? That's the tagline? That's the phrase? You're gonna stick with that? Discover how Willy became Wonka?
So you're the funny little man who's been following me.
I will have you know.
You are not serious people. It looks so bad. Hugh Grant, he looks so bad. He looks terrible. Oompa Loompas, the character, they're questionable. I'm not gonna deny that. I'm just curious if it's gonna do the same thing the Tim Burton movie did. If it's gonna be one Hugh Grant Oompa Loompa, duplicated. I still think the 70s movie, just getting a bunch of actors or, with dwarfism, that's better than this monstrosity. It is better than just shrinking Hugh Grant. You can't convince me otherwise. How is that worse than shrinking Hugh Grant? Why is he in a glass jar? Why is he so small, right? He's like this big. He's like this. Oompa Loompas in the 2023 movie are as big as this freaking Saw toy. Why is he so small? They're supposed to be workers. That thing can't work. And is Wonka gonna mutate them? What are the ethics of that?
Perfectly respectable size for an Oompa Loompa.
An Oompa what now?
Allow me.
And he's doing the little Hugh Grant thing, you know, Why Hugh Grant? Why Timothy Chalamet, okay, right? But why Hugh Grant? Oh.
To refresh your memory.
Oh, I don't think I want to hear that.
Too late. I've started dancing now. Once we've started, we can't stop.
Is Hugh Grant gonna sing? Oh, I'm gonna lose my mind. But here's the thing. Here's my biggest issue with this entire thing. A Willy Wonka backstory, a Willy Wonka a prequel to either of the Willy Wonka / Charlie and the Chocolate Factory movies. Just saying that immediately, I think it's unnecessary. In Gene Wilder's portrayal of Willy Wonka, one of the most important things about that portrayal is the mystery. Knowing who he is completely destroys all of the wonder that is created, everything that the character is. It is immediately destroyed once you know who he is. The way he acts is like almost as if he's not a real person. So once you start seeing him as a real person, there's no magic anymore. That's why the original movie is so magical, because it's this strange man that is just, radiates positive energy most of the time, who creates this wonderful candy that can do things that just don't make any sense. This freaking candy can make you float. You think to yourself, my gosh, who is this guy? And once that question is actually answered, well then what's the magic? It goes away. Actually answering the question completely ruins it. But genuinely, what is Willy Wonka's backstory? I don't want to know. I don't need to know. Knowing would make it less fun, would make it less interesting, would make it boring, which is what I think this movie is going to be. I'm not even sure what I could say, well, if he just did this, I don't even think it's that simple. I just think he was the wrong actor. That is all. Thank you. Goodbye.